Hey guys, this video is just going to be a little bit different as I just wrapped up a live stream in MDX Crypto's private group, just basically going over the MDX ALGO indicators. People were able to ask me questions about it, as well just going over a bunch of charts and hanging out, having a good time. So I want to share that with you guys. If that sounds good to you, smash that thumbs up button, subscribe if you haven't. With that, let's get it. Alright guys, I think I'll get started here. So basically guys, just a little introduction for those of you who don't know me yet. My name is Stu and I'll be doing some of these live streams once or twice a week moving forward. Just kind of going to be taking a look at the MDX ALGO indicators. If you guys have any questions about it, you can ask me some and I'll do my best to answer them. And of course we're going to just be taking a look at some crypto charts. And yeah, just gonna hang out, have a good time. Let me know if you guys want me to check anything. Obviously I'll do altcoin requests, stuff like that later, take a peek at some stuff that you guys want to take a look at. But yeah, with that we'll get started here. So in front of me I do have the beautiful MDX ALGO 3 and the Oscillator 5 down below here. For those of you who are new to this, I just want to make sure that you do set your visual order here. Right click on the indicator, visual order, and bring to front. Sometimes you'll have some visual issues if you don't do that, and that just really helps clean things up and just makes everything work real nice. And just a few things, I just kind of want to go into these options and just show you guys what this thing all does here. One other thing I will mention that's fairly important, I saw it being talked about in some of the groups earlier, is this Heikin-Ashi checkbox here. I use regular candles, I don't use the Heikin-Ashi candles, so I keep this unchecked here. And right now I currently have this in swing just to clean things up a little bit. Typically I have this on scalp and it'll actually add a couple of extra long and short signals. Just a little more to it if you can be actively watching the charts and getting in and out of trades quicker. For those of you who don't want to be looking at it quite as much, the swing option is definitely something worth checking out. Other than that, here we got our trend. If we uncheck that, this is all personal preference, guys. Like some of us are able to kind of spot where that trend line would most likely be, but it's definitely a good visual to have on your charts, just as long as you don't have too much clutter going on. Signals here, this would just be the short and long signals on this indicator, and if those are a little intrusive, you can also just make those a little smaller, just easier to look at with these diamonds by using the simple labels instead. For now, I'll just use the regular ones. Obviously, you're here, take profits, that would be our TP here on any positions. If it was telling us to go short here, we have our take profit down here. So we can choose if we want that on there as well. The Stoch RSI divergences, that would be our blue dots. And here we also have our trend, overbought, and oversold. And these are the orange dots that look just like the take profits. There's just a few more of them. So yeah, that's what those are there. Something else that's very interesting with this indicator is if you don't want to map out your own horizontal support resistance, just important levels in the market, this indicator will actually do it for you if you select that option. Just give it a second to load here. It'll actually just mark out your horizontal important levels for you if you are too lazy or you don't quite understand them all that well, just to kind of have something else to rely on there, just something else to keep an eye on when doing your analysis. We also have our divergences. Here, let me just move this over a little bit. I am going to get rid of these support resistance lines just to clean it up a little bit as well. Indicators, these would be our divergences, and that's just showing these, well, basically where we have our pivotal points here, where the market's taking a guess at that. That would also be our indicator top and bottom here. If I uncheck that, you'll see a lot of those are going to end up actually being the same there. If I uncheck that, yeah. So there is also more. You can kind of customize this the way you want. There's a lot of things to go through, a lot of different things that you can just customize with. Here I could add more indicator tops and indicator bottoms, but we're just going to start to get a little bit clustered on the chart when we have all these symbols all over the place. I like to keep my charts fairly simple, so I end up having something a little more like this here. But yeah, basically the way this indicator works, I just really like to have these two indicators together. They work well together, and it's nice to kind of use both together. So we have our Algo 3 indicator here, kind of giving us a pivotal point in the market, just trying to call in bearish divergence and a bit of a market top, and that's also lining up very well with the oscillator 5. So it can be quite powerful to see a couple of things lining up together there. On top of that, we also did have these bearish divergences here. And as well as that, just getting below that trend line of this Algo 3. So there's just a lot of things that were lining up there. So it's really powerful when you have a whole confluence of things lining up between these two indicators. Right now you can see that there is actually a few bullish things coming into play. The oscillator 5, we do have this bullish divergence here, as well as trying to call for a market bottom or just oversold territory here. We're kind of right where take profits and oversold territories coming into play on this indicator up here as well. So I am definitely seeing reason why we could get a bit of a relief rally anytime. But I mean, the trend is still obviously down. You can see that we are setting lower lows now. We broke that low and took a little nasty dump. I think that was on Friday there. So I'm not saying that we're just going to get a market reversal here, but it is nice to see that we're starting to see some things line up with the indicators, just saying that we might be getting some sort of relief bounce here coming in. Before I go any further, does anyone have any questions? I'll do my best to answer them. I'm just kind of going over this a little bit.
Regarding the automated support and resistance lines, would you say those are better or worse than I?
Sorry, the oscillator 5 ones?
No, sorry, the support and resistance automatic levels that you could put on earlier.
When I throw those on here?
Yeah, we'll just say that, because obviously when I put support and resistance levels on, I generally just look for, alignments in the tops and bottoms of the chart. Would you say them are more reliable than looking for tops and bottoms of a chart?
I typically kind of use my own lines as well, so I haven't actually done a whole bunch of back testing with these lines that it throws out for you. It does look fairly good. Obviously, you have to have a little wiggle room in your stops and that kind of stuff. But it seems like they do point out some fairly decent levels in the market. It's looking at where their pivotal points as well, like where these lines are support and resistance, not just necessarily calling out like the resistance of a channel, right? I mean, you can see that. Let me just pull something up here for reference here. Kind of just how if we really zoom in here, I mean, you can see that this line here is a level where as we're below it, we are struggling a little bit. You can just see that some candles are just coming up to it and just having a hard time getting above it. Obviously, this is a very small level, very small example here. Sorry? Sorry, what was that?
I don't know that one.
Oh, nothing. Okay, it might have been something else, but yeah, they're just kind of they seem like fairly decent pivotal points in my opinion. Like I said, obviously there is going to be that little bit of wiggle room, but I mean, you can see that the market does seem to respect these levels. I mean, once we got back above it here, you can see we were testing this line as support for quite a while. Obviously dropped, and again, this is a very short time frame, but it's just kind of a good starting point. Like if you're an experienced trader, you might have your own back-tested theories, your back-tested chart patterns that you would rather look at and that you just trade better yourself. But if you're someone who's fairly new and just looking for a little bit of guidance, I find these lines could be quite useful in that case. Like I said, I still use my own, but it's nice that the option is there. And even if you're not looking at the charts clearly, you take a little break from trading or anything like that, and you just want a fresh set of eyes, it doesn't hurt to at least just load that up and just take a little peek at it.
Do you know why those support and resistance line vary when you change the time frame? Like I'm seeing them from 1 hour to 2 hours. It's pretty cool because I just found out about them. I hadn't used them and they seem pretty useful. So
just to jump in real quick on that, the reason why is because it's calculated per time frame. So it's basically calculating those support and resistance levels. It's got some parameters behind it. So that is the biggest difference between those and obviously doing them manually. Because if you if you start up on the high time frames like a daily or weekly level, putting in your own support and resistances, if you then jump down to the 4 hour, you'll see those same lines, and they actually look really good. But that's the main difference between the two, because the indicators are calculating, and on obviously yours, when you put them in manually, they're just your own.
Yeah, the shorter time frame you use, obviously, the more candles that are going to be there, so the more info it has to calculate just before it picks its level. Oh, here. As far as jab here, how do I determine stop losses? Does the indicator show? That kind of depends what your risk tolerance would be, I suppose. Let me just clean this up a little bit again. Like me personally, I mean, I never want to rely just on a single indicator, right? So, like, let's say I was playing this short back here. I had my own short position, but let's say you were playing this one, for example. I mean, I personally would still want my stop loss to be above structure, kind of wherever we've topped out before that. So, I mean, I don't know. I suppose if you have a very tight tolerance, you don't really want to let too much risk go. Your stop loss might be just kind of above this trend line here. But then, like I said, I mean, you're just risking kind of getting stopped out if you're not looking for that structure in the price of, like, just if I was in a short, for example, I'd want to keep my stop loss above some structure, above a lower high or something like that. Whereas on a long, I would want my stop loss to be below structure. So,
what about if you're short in resistance?
If you're shorting resistance, I would try and find some sort of nearby structure. Let's say, just as an example, if I wanted to, let's just say, looking at the resistance of this little range over here, if we're going to consider that a bear flag, I would give my stop loss I tend to go $100 or $2 higher than kind of where the structure would be. So if I was looking at catching, let's say just laddering in some shorts into this resistance, because that's one thing I like to do too, is not just go all in with one entry. I like to set a couple quite often where I try and ladder in to get a better average entry. So if I saw this as my resistance box, I would want to ladder a couple in, and then I would just set my stop loss somewhere a little higher, some sort of, if I could just pick a level that might be a bit of a support resistance flip level. I mean, somewhere up here, if I was on lower leverage, obviously if you're trading with high leverage, that would be quite a large stop loss. So it really depends what kind of time frame you're trading on too. Let's just zoom into something. If you guys are anything like me and more of a degenerate trader and you like to be on the shorter time frames, like let's say right now I was looking for a short. I'm just gonna turn this off right here. Let's say, you know what, we got some candle body closes below this low here, And since then, I'm thinking that, you know what, the trend is down. So let's say I do want to get into a short from here, expecting a drop down. I would want to keep my stop loss. And this is me personally. Maybe you have something that's back tested that works better for you. But I would want my stop loss, I would be above this structure back here. Because as we dropped this low here, we tried to get a bit of a bounce, but when we eclipsed this low here, we kind of set this as our new lower high. And then since we did end up closing below these lows as well, now we have a lower high again. So I would still say that resistance goes all the way up to here if I were to try and get into a short right now, just because we haven't actually got anything below this level here. We still have this double bottom here. If we end up dropping this line of support, then I would start to consider this being our new lower high. And I would want my stop loss above that. But for now, I would, just the way I trade anyways, I would want a stop loss above this level here if I was to enter a short right now. I'm not saying to enter a short right now, obviously. That's just kind of the type of structure I look for. I'm trying to find where the lower highs would be, and trying to keep my position safe from a quick wick back up to that structure. Hopefully that makes a little sense. Sorry if I confused you a little there.
No, yeah, I get it, cheers.
If I wanted to give it a little more wiggle room, I'd even keep it above this high up here. But yeah, just the way I like to look at things, this would be my current high that I would be looking at.
Yeah, I was just going to mention there as well, just be careful when you're actually putting your stop losses right exactly on those levels, because if Mr. Market Maker's bringing the price up, he knows that he knows there's going to be liquidity just above. So depending on how much leverage you're using, try and get your stop loss a little bit higher, like a little bit more wriggle room, and just keep that in mind, because you'll end up getting stopped out quite often. And if you were just you may see it. You may get stopped out quite often, but if you're just a little higher up or a little lower, then you may have got away with it.
And to add to that, quite often what happens is, let's say you did have your stop loss right along this line pretty much. Let's just say it wicked up to here and then dropped back down. You would feel like, well, you know what? I'm an idiot because I was playing it right. I just never left myself enough room there. I'm re-entering the trade, and then you do the same thing and you lose the same trade, and then you try again, and that one trade loss could end up turning into, depending how much you overtrade. But that's one of those situations that you might get yourself into a rough spot if you just barely get stopped out, because you'll think you were right, and then you'll take the same losing trade 3 or 4 times, which can be just devastating to the account. Any other questions regarding the indicator here? About the options here, the preferences, everyone's looking good as long as you got it to the visual order, bring to front. Everything should hopefully look good. There is some other colors you can choose as well. If you don't like this color, this one's also very nice here. The gradient too just changes things up. Again, it's just all preference, but I personally like this blue, purple, red, green one. This one's just beautiful. So yeah. Anyways, guys, no other questions about the indicator. I can hop into some Bitcoin charts and kind of what I'm looking at there. I know last time I did a stream here, we also kind of went over some of these preferences and settings and stuff. So depending how many of you were here last time, or if all of you are new, maybe you're already familiar with the settings here.
Just one thing. I don't know if you're going to come to this later or not, but when looking at the long and short calls, one of my biggest fears currently is that by the time the long or short call comes, it's telling me to short into support, which is obviously a massive fear to do as a trader anyway.
Yes.
So I was wondering, like, what's the time to do it? What's the time to not?
Don't do it.
Yeah.
Just don't, it always does it though.
Yeah, well, it doesn't always do it, does it? I would say just basically, if you're getting a long call coming in, and the actual oscillator 5 is showing that it's overbought, then just use extreme caution if you're going to put that trade in, and the same vice versa as well. Just use caution, and obviously you don't long into resistance or short into support where possible. You should know those things, or at least try and know those things. And if the indicator is showing the long or short in those areas, it's better just to hold back and just not take it. Just don't take it.
Yes.
So would you wait until it broke? So you basically do a breakout trade?
Well, I mean, you wouldn't do a breakout trade either. Just basically, if you're just simply relying on short and long calls, just don't take it if those other things come into existence when you're doing it.
Because you're still going to want to use your own analysis a little bit. You never want to just rely on indicators. Like, let's say I happen to have a double top with a bearish divergence on the RSI I'm watching, or something like that I personally like to play, and then I get a short call on one of the shorter time frames or something like that on the indicator. It kind of helps act as just another bit of confluence to help me give a little confidence to my trade. But yeah, if it's, let's say this is giving a short call, but the oscillator 5 is way down in kind of oversold territory and looking like it's going to need some sort of relief, then you may want to second guess and, like Mike said, just proceed with caution, because you kind of want more confluence, right? The more confluence you can get out of things, the more technicals that are lining up, the better. Just like with regular charts, and the same as with the indicators. You just kind of want a few things lining up, not just one random call. Like, let's say it says short, but we're above the trend line, and something's looking like it's oversold, then you're not going to want to take it, right? Because that trend line could obviously flip into support, and it could flip into a long call pretty quickly.
Sorry, Stu, just one more thing, Sundance, because you mentioned breakout. So what I would say then, if the price was oversold, you've got a long call coming in, but it's just below resistance, don't do a breakout trade on it. Keep an eye on it. If it breaks through the resistance, wait for it to retest as support, and then take the long trade.
Yes, absolutely. It's always a safer bet to wait for that retest. And I know how FOMO works, and you don't always want to wait for that, and you might actually end up missing your trade. Unfortunately, that's a part of trading where you just taking that initial breakout can really get you wrecked more often than not, really. Market makers love that liquidity to come in where they can exit whatever position they're in, because they finally get that volume with the fake outs.
So would you say it's probably better to keep your support and resistance on a lower time frame? When I say a higher time frame, i.e. 4 hours, and then you've basically got a bigger playing field for your support and resistance when you go into the 15-minute for your
Yeah, like me personally, what I like to do is once a week, I like to start out on the weekly chart and kind of map some stuff out, then go down to the daily chart, map some stuff out. And I just kind of work my way down. And when I'm actually looking to enter a position, that's when I'll start eyeing up the 15-minute or the 5-minute, trying to find the indicator giving me, let's say I'm getting near a 4-hour support line, I'm getting a 15-minute double bottom, and a long signal comes in on the indicator, that kind of a thing. That's where I notice that things start to get quite powerful. It's nice to look at a few different time frames if you're looking at setting up a position. Like I said, I like to map out the higher time frames, but when I'm actually looking for that pinpoint entry, that's where I really zoom into the smaller degenerate time frames.
Yeah, okay. I think that's what I'm doing wrong.
Hopefully that makes sense.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, it's a bit of a patience game. But yeah, any other questions about the indicator specifically? Like I said, there's a whole bunch of things you can just play around with. Just really customize it the way you want everything set up. Like I said, I don't always like it super bulky like this, so sometimes I'll get rid of the trend line, make the signals simple, or even remove them sometimes. All depends how you like it. But if nobody has any other questions about the indicator specifically, do you guys want to take a peek at some Bitcoin charts?
Yeah, sure.
Let's do it. This chart here, I've been pointing this out for a couple weeks now when we got this nasty dump after we broke out of this rising wedge. I was eyeing this up as an ascending triangle for over a week, I think it was, until we started really getting this horrible fake out here. I know MDX nailed a short there. I waited until we got this breakdown, and this was actually one of those times. It'd probably be hard to scroll back in the 5 minute and find this, but I remember when we did break below this wedge on the 4 hour, that's when I went into my 5 minute chart, and I remember finding I also had this bit of a resistance box mapped out. And when we got back into it on the 5 minute, I got a bit of a double top, and the short signal did come in on the 5 minute on the Algo 3. And that's kind of one of those situations that I was just talking about, where I started out with a larger time frame, zoomed right into a degenerate time frame level, and just looked for some patterns that I would typically like, lined it up with the indicator, and yeah, it played out absolutely beautifully, obviously. And actually, after that, we came right down to this support level here. I was considering this to be actually quite an important box for a few reasons. One, it provided some support in the market, also provided some resistance when we were trading below it. And on top of that, if I just zoom out a little bit, I should actually clear this up a little bit. I'll get rid of this. Bring up a Fibonacci from where our current macro low is up to where our range has swung high here. And that was a perfect retest as well. The bottom of that box was the 618 Fibonacci line, which I like to give a lot of weight to that fib level, but I do actually give the 786 a little more weight to it. That's one reason why I don't really think this dump is quite done yet. I think we're consolidating. We might even get some sort of a wick up, but I really do expect us to drop down to this 19.2 thousand level, just because I really do give this Fibonacci level quite a bit of weight, especially the fact that we already did drop the 618 here and just kind of consolidating sideways. I'd be quite surprised if we never tested a little bit lower yet. I actually made a video about this on Friday. If you don't follow me, this is my YouTube channel, StuTube Trading, all one word. You can give that a check. I was talking about this. I actually warned about both these moves. I made a video calling for this drop here, and as well on Friday, I was actually in the middle of recording when we were dropping this level, and I was explaining that I thought we were about to crash, and then while I was recording, we got this crash to the downside. So unfortunately, it was a few minutes late to warn everybody about, but I just really like when you get these three touch point trend lines. This one here was technically only two. I bet on the 1 hour it would probably have a third one here, but that was a perfect support to resist flip, so I did give it some weight there. And then same thing with this purple upwards sloping support line here. We had our two perfect pinpoint accurate touch points there, and just started consolidating very tightly right on that line. So that's a reason I was giving this line a lot of weight. I was really considering that if we broke this line, things were going to get quite bloody. And I mean, it wasn't crazy, but it was definitely a decent little dump to the downside, 5 or 6%. But yeah, like I said, I personally think there's a little bit of room to go to the downside yet. We're going to have to see what happens there, but that's just my thoughts on things. Daily chart, yeah, same thing. The fact that we're actually closing daily candles below this support here, That's a pretty clean close, and the fact that we never just got our next candle kind of a big engulfing one getting right back above this. If we would have got that, I would have very strongly considered this to be a bit of a bear trap and actually been very bullish. But the fact that we did get that clean close below and then just a second confirmed close there, I just think it's only a matter of time. In the next day or two, I would not be surprised to test these levels down here. Let me know what you guys think about that too. Like, definitely interested to see, are you guys bullish? Are you guys bearish?
I'm on 100% going with what you just said there, because the 786, there's other confluence there as well. You've got a weekly and a daily level of support. Right where that 786 is also the low average daily range as well.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah, on the weekly, that lines up absolutely perfectly, hey?
Yeah, so I would definitely say it's a good area to look out for potential bounce.
Yeah. And like I said, I just love the 786. I find that even on very small time frames, if I'm just playing the 5 minute because I'm bored and I'm a degenerate, that's often where I will try and snipe an entry. Will be along the 786 or the 886. And that goes both ways, you guys. As far as support, I like to find bounces there. But if we were to rally aggressively right now, I would also, if I was in a long, I would definitely be looking to take some profits around the 618 and the 786. And just to make sure I pay attention to those levels, I've actually changed the color of those fib levels because I just really like to draw them to my attention. And even the fact that they do line up with structure here, like you can see that we were getting a little bit of resistance here, a little bit of support here, where the 618 rejection lines up. So yeah, I just think that those fib levels are quite important. So I use them in both directions. If I'm looking for take profits on a long, I would be looking at these. If I'm looking for short, or if I'm in a short and looking for profits, I would definitely be kind of looking at something like this. And that's actually where I said on the channels I've been talking about my short position, which was at about 20,644. I will be definitely looking to close the rest of it at about 19,333, just to give myself a little breathing room from the 786, because I think that's kind of where we're heading. And you know what? If we keep dumping from there, sure, we could go even further. We could go a lot further. But that's where I'm comfortable closing the rest of my position, because quite often we get a bit of a reaction rally from those levels. No one else has any questions. I can hop over, check out Ethereum quick. Unless anyone has specific requests that you want.
I'm sure AVAX. What do you think, mate? Am I shorting support or
AVAX?
yeah? I'm shorting that center short. Looks like it really wants to break support, but it's that kind of thing when support might hold. So
you're looking to short it right now?
I am in a short.
Oh, you are in a short? I would say, I mean, we are technically at this potential support right now. I haven't looked at this chart much here. The fact that we did even get some resistance here, found a little bit of support here, little support here, support here. I mean, it's definitely a level of interest. If the bulls are going to pull the trigger, they'd want to do it right now. If they don't end up taking this, I guess technically I could probably drop this support a little bit too, kind of somewhere in here. If this green box drops, I think it's only a matter of time until we would just retest these lows here. So that would be a great short in that situation. But we're going to have to see. Like I said, we are technically at this support from back here.
Yeah.
So it's risky. There could be a big payout if it does drop here, but it is always a little risky when you want to start shorting into support, right?
Yeah, it's the thing with trying to kind of front run the break of support. That's exactly when they get you.
Oh, MDX is still long from 20.4, hey? Where would that be? 20.4.
You underwater, MDX?
Underwater a little bit, hey? Well,
Is he
like
going
I
to tell us
said,
where his stop is? Where's your stop, sir?
yeah, do you have a stop? What kind of leverage you using there, Max?
Of course he's got a stop. Jesus, don't say that when Pete's in here.
Oh, yeah, don't get him all excited, hey? But like I said, there is these few things on the 4-hour chart that would suggest there could definitely be a bit of a reversal or at least a relief rally. Like I said, there's this bullish divergence on the oscillator 5, potential market bottom here. We got our take profits, our oversold being shown here, and once again, just a potential pivotal point. So there is some things lining up with these indicators that we might get a bit of a bounce. Let's see. I haven't checked the fib levels here. I'm just going to drop that. Oh, yeah, never mind. This is the same fib level we were just talking about. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know how I feel about that position personally, but you know what? I can see how it would get a bit of a bounce. Oh, stops down. Okay. Yeah, I've definitely noticed on Twitter that you've been talking about how many times you've been buying 20, and I think before it was 21. Definitely nailing a lot of those calls, so I'm not going to be the one to argue with you. I'm just a degenerate, so I trade on the shorter time frames with higher leverage, so that just scares me a little bit is all.
Well, one thing for sure, if we drop below 20, it's definitely going to be resistance now. That's for sure.
Yeah.
But above it, and it's definitely act as support now, and it's also a monthly level of support as well, 19,985 pretty much.
Yeah. If I hop over, yeah, and this is a nice tightly coiled little area here. If we could get back above that, let's say 20,360 somewhere in there, I mean, I think Bitcoin would be in a nice position to test up quite a bit higher. And like you said, you've won the last 4 or 5 trades buying there. I mean, if something keeps working, I love when you get in a situation where you notice an area where you can keep longing or keep shorting, whatever. It feels so good when you can just play the same trade over and over and just collect a little bit of profit here and there. Oh yeah, unless you're Pete, then it's got to be all one trade. You just repeat that one trade over and over, make it all back. Oh yeah, you guys get it.
What was the digits on the 7 fib again? 0.7?
The 786.
So
Here, I'll bring it up for you again here. It's right around 19,200. 19,250 approximately. And that actually lines up quite well with this little bit of structure back here. So just another little bit of confluence there. If we drop that, obviously we could drop right down to the 886. I've been seeing a lot of times on the smaller time frames that we've been getting candle bodies closing around the 786, but you've been getting wicks down to that 886. So that's something to consider too.
There you go. I just put some levels in the chat for you. The guy that was asking for the 786.
Oh, yes. The 786, 19,255.
Yeah, I'm slightly off yours.
Yeah, very close. That's probably...
Quite close enough.
Yeah, exactly. It's probably just these wicks are very slightly off. Oh. Yeah, somewhere in there. I'm saying 19.2 as a ballpark, but that's where I said that I have my take profits on my short at 19,333. Just to give myself that little bit of breathing room there. Don't want to get too greedy because I'll burn myself as usual. Ethereum here, not looking so bad. Kind of the same thing as Bitcoin though. Like we have been testing our previous market cycle all-time high as a bit of a resist support flip. So I mean, if we were to start rallying from here, I know I've said this about Bitcoin in the past. If we did drop to this perfect little support flip of this area, it would look so obvious in hindsight. If we got right to the bottom of this box, bounce out, retest the top of the box, and just start kind of setting higher highs and higher lows, it would look so obvious. And obviously everything always does in hindsight, but this would be one of those ones where it would just be textbook technical analysis. Like on a macro scale, seeing an entire market cycle all-time high, that's a very powerful level for structure. So to get that perfect resist support flip would be absolutely beautiful. I haven't really checked fib lines or anything yet from our bear market bottom to our bull market high. We are trading above the 786, kind of got rejected around that 618. I would really like to see us reclaim that level. Don't want to see us get rejected by the next fib right away. I would really like to see us start reclaiming some of these levels, just staircasing higher. But yeah, doesn't look so bad. And also just the fact that this yellow upward sloping trend line as well, just kind of going back to where our bull market kind of started growing some legs, where it started actually trending upwards a little bit. I just extended this support line, and yeah, we got this little bear trap, just a little fake out below that, but we're really holding that line as structure there too. So that's good to see that that's lining up right with this little resist support flip as well. It's good to have that confluence in the market. And the fact that right now, as I said, we're just kind of testing the very top of that box, that could be a good sign. I don't like that we've actually closed these candle bodies. Kind of once again, we got our one clean candle body closed below this low here, and got another candle body closed below there rather than just a fake out back above. So that is a little bit alarming. We do still have support back here. We obviously could flip this resistance into support as well. But just something to be aware of, that we have set that little bit of a lower low here.
Hey, are these training sessions being recorded?
Sorry, what's that?
Are the training sessions, are they being recorded so you can, like, because I've just missed probably, I don't know how much I've missed of this today, but I'd like to go back and watch it later on.
I do have it recording. I'm hoping that I'm recording it correctly, and I'll double check with MDX that he would allow me to release that and stuff. I wouldn't mind posting it on my own channel, but I don't know if that would be all right or not. We're going to have to see, but I'll talk to him. I'll send him the video if he wants. He can do whatever with it. I'll obviously have to check to make sure everything recorded correctly, but
it's only like 5:30 a.m. here.
Oh yeah, nice and early, hey?
Yeah, man.
Yeah, it's 3:46 p.m. for me right now in Canada, so middle of the day for me.
Canada?
Yeah, up in Canada.
Yeah.
Ethereum versus Bitcoin. We are facing resistance right now. You can see that we just got a bit of a third rejection along my resistance line. If we did end up getting back above this line, or just above it in general, and kind of retesting it, getting that resistance to support flip, I think Ethereum could be set to blow up in that case and really go on a bit of a tear. You guys know, well, those of you who have listened to any of my videos or my previous stream or anything like that, you'll know I like to see at least 3 rejection points along a trend line before breaking it to give it any sort of serious weight. If it only has 2, I don't really consider it all that much. I think it could be more so that we would just get a fake out and right back down. The fact that we have this third rejection point now, I would love to see us get above this line and start flipping it into support. I think, Ethereum could be in a very nice position in that case. The only thing I don't like about it is these rejection points are not very evenly spaced out. I'd feel a lot more confident if the price did more something like that, where the touch points were a lot more, just a lot more evenly spaced out. But you know what? It is a third touch point here, a bit of a third rejection. So if we can get above that, I would consider thinking that Ethereum's going to have quite a large move compared to Bitcoin. So we're going to have to see what happens there. That might be one of
AVAX
those things.
is-
Maybe the upgrade to Ethereum might have something to say about that. I don't really follow with the fundamentals too much with that sort of thing, so maybe you guys know a little more about that. But yeah, that could be a good technical scenario setting up for the near future.
Did you guys see the post I really linked about AVAX and this whole debacle with them hiring a law firm to go after Solana and the Internet Computer and all those like rivals, crypto rivals?
Okay, I'm not too familiar with it. I don't know if Mike or the boys have been following along.
No, I can't say I have on that one, mate.
I just saw it on my feed today, but I think I don't know if I shared it in the Bitcoin or in the altcoin channels, but check it out. It's because I see that AVAX is kind of breaking support, so it might be front running a move or just faking me out.
Hey, so far, I mean, since I drew out that little box for you a little while ago, I mean, yeah, so far it's going through. You might get it after all.
So now it's a good question. How would you go about setting a TP? Because I have now that I turned on the MDX ALGO support and resistance, I see support at 1820, but I'm going back in the chart and trying to look for why does it register? Okay, I found. Why does it register at support? I think it's actually very well drawn.
On the 4 hour here, or sorry, what did you say?
I'm
support?
using the hourly. I'm using the hourly.
Oh, the hourly.
So I see that it shows me support at 18.20.
Okay, for me it's showing at $18.17.5.
Yeah.
It's the difference if you use USDT.
Oh,
Right.
yeah. It's probably very slightly different, just a different chart. Because I'm on, what am I on? I'm on the Coinbase chart right now. So yeah, it probably just depends what exchange we're on.
Yeah. Well, at least I'm a bit in profit now, so that's always nice.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's nice to see that worked out for you so far, that it's actually dropping that support. That's nice to see for you. I would still be a little concerned about this little cluster of support back here, just because, we did set a higher high here when we eclipsed this, and this was kind of where we pulled back to and found support. So that's obviously a bit of an important level in the market. So this might be one of those scenarios where we just drop to a very nearby support line. Definitely just an area to keep a watch on.
Yeah,
because it also did have a little bit of
there.
resistance here, support here. So I think that could be a level that'll come at you pretty quick here. But I mean, if that lets go, I mean, the floodgates could open for you. And it kind of depends what Bitcoin does too, right? Obviously, if Bitcoin really struggles, AVAX might also.
Yeah, I'm thinking, and it's also a weekend, right? So it's, I don't know what to think anymore about weekends, but
yeah, I know like a lot of people won't trade period on a weekend. I still do. Maybe it's a stupid idea. I don't know. I know the volume isn't as great and it's a little easier to manipulate and stuff like that, but I think as long as you have proper risk management, you have a trading system in place, and you don't get dumb with the amount of margin you're using. I mean, I don't know. I still like to trade on the weekends. Maybe I'm just a dirty addict, but even here, just looking at this upward sloping trend line, I mean, obviously short would have been better with the retest up here. This little fake out here obviously didn't have too much to say about this, but for the most part, this is a fairly significant trend line, and the fact that we got this retest here, I mean, AVAX could be in a bit of a nasty downtrend as well. If I just drew some sort of a downward sloping trend line, I wouldn't really consider it bullish until it actually ended up breaking this red downward sloping resistance line. And I kind of look for the same thing with that, as I was saying how I like a third touch point. I'm only considering this whole cluster one touch point. This is another touch point. I would like to see, let's say, a third touch point rejection at this old support level lining up with that downward sloping trend line and get some kind of a retest like that. I think then it might flip bullish. But for right now, yeah, I don't know. It doesn't look like it's in a great position, especially that it did end up dropping this little support back here. So you might be okay there.
Yeah, I hope I can write this one.
Just to add to that, there's a chart I just put in the chat there. So it's just approaching a 786 level, and also right where we are right now is a value area low as well.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Coming real close to that 786 there.
Where do you see, Mike? Where do you see that 786? Because my 786 here is all the way down to $17.
Take it from the low from on the 3rd of July.
Just a minute.
And up to the top.
3rd of July. Because
I
see the low July 22nd.
June
We're looking at the same chart.
19th. June 19th is where I have my low.
Ooh.
Yeah, you can do it there as well.
Yeah. June
Would you do it
19th.
from the wick
Right.
or the close?
Yeah, I'm doing it from the wick. June 19. And then, yeah. So,
Okay, yeah, so June 19, you're just blowing through the 6.6 that I usually have on mine, and then it's hitting value area low as well.
Wait, let me clear up this chart, man.
Actually,
So 786 is all the way down at $17.
Yeah, if you take it from that low that on the 19th of June, then yeah, 1736.
yeah, it
Where
really
we
depends
looking at?
where you want to take that from. You said the
How do
3rd
you-
of
you-
July?
You don't do week to week? Do you do a different kind of?
I'm normally wick to wick, yeah.
You said you took it from July 3rd there, Mike?
No, I was just saying what you were saying, because you said you mentioned 19th of June, but yes, I did. I took it from the low on the 3rd of July. Sorry.
Yeah, okay, yeah. So yeah, that 786 is getting real close then. And that actually does look fairly nice with the chart, even how it found support along the 618 there for such a long time, just tapping away at that, and now that it dropped it, it's heading right towards that 786 that you have mapped out.
That would be a really good trade.
How would you
I
decide
would have a happy week.
from which bottom to take it from, i.e. the 19th of June or the 3rd of July?
It's all, I mean, some of that is preference. I
see
like.
another one, water.
I personally like to do the full range, but that's just me. I mean, it kind of depends how you like to look at it.
Yeah.
Like even here, how I have it now, I like how the 618, once we got below it, that's kind of exactly where we started treating it as resistance before we started dumping, just kind of during this video here. It's getting that bit of a support resist flip right there, hey. It's funny how that works on fib lines too.
Yeah, I love fibs.
Yeah.
For me, I normally take them from like the swings. The only reason the only reason I took it was because it was a big consolidation sideways, and I just thought, well, okay, that is quite a significant level.
Yeah.
So I just took it from the 3rd of July.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And I do like how it lines up with so much stuff here. Yeah, the 786. I mean, you can see that it was just tested these little spots here, resistance, support. So it's obviously got some confluence to go with it. So yeah, I think that would absolutely make sense that we could find some sort of a bounce there.
Where do you have that? Where do you have that 786? I missed the part that you drew that fib.
Oh, the fib, I have it pulled from, let's say, the 3rd of July lows up to the August 8th highs. Pulled bottom to top.
Okay, let me see. 3rd of July. Right. I knew this one. Okay. Okay, so if I take the 3rd of July, then
Looks like I've got a bit of
yeah, it's almost there.
Yeah,
Changed a lot, huh?
It's just something
Changes a
to
lot.
definitely put on your radar. If it looks like, let's say on a smaller time frame, it looks like it's getting some sort of a reaction out of the bulls there, it might be time to lock in some profits or update stop losses or do whatever you got to do there.
Oh, for sure. For sure. I'll going to keep my eye on BTC specifically.
Yes,
Because
absolutely.
if BTC does not drop from the 19,800, I will not consider this as a legit dump. So I'll be taking profits.
Yeah.
Like so.
Here, let me just
So
check
far,
something.
BTC is holding.
You can see that we did get this short signal on the 15-minute. And like I said, I do think that we're going to dump a little lower fairly soon just because, as I mentioned, as we were setting these lower lows, we set this low, then we set a lower high. We set another lower low, which means that then we got our lower high here after we got this low here. So, I mean, right now, as long as we are below this level around, let's say, 20,260, somewhere in there, that's kind of the lower high I'm looking at right now. To play it safe, I mean, the lower high for this little range here, I would say, is actually 20,370 would kind of be where we're probably going to find our most resistance if we got some sort of a wick to the upside. But yeah, to me, it does look like we're setting lower lows, lower highs. We are definitely in a temporary downtrend. So yeah, it is definitely flipping short on the 15-minute here. Obviously, that's a very short time frame. On that 4-hour, that's kind of where we got to be careful, right? Because on those longer time frames, as I said, we have those take profits flashing for the shorts. We have our bullish divergences, our oversold situations being flagged at us here. So that's where it gets a little risky if you're looking at playing like a 15-minute short, for example, a little bit of a degen scalp. Like I said, I've been in a short since it was 20,644. It was just up here somewhere. Yeah, basically I entered a short right before I made my last Bitcoin video on Friday there, when I was trying to warn you guys that it was about to dump, and then, yeah, unfortunately it dumped off a cliff when I was just about wrapping up my video, so that was unfortunate. But yeah, for now, I'd like to just let that position ride if I can. But like I said, get near that 19.3 and I'm out. I'll cash in my chips there.
I just subscribed to your BDS, mate.
Sorry?
I just subscribed to your channel, so I don't miss it.
Oh, nice. Thanks so much. Yeah, you guys, if you, I don't know, if you guys like listening to me talk and you want to come check out some of my shorter analysis once in a while, here's my YouTube channel, StuTube Trading. And I also do have Twitter. I don't always have time to upload a video, so I quite often just post some warnings on Twitter as well. Here I was kind of warning about that rising wedge that was about to play out, where I was talking about I got in a short there. That
what's your Twitter?
Okay.
StuTube Trading. StuTube Trading, all one
No.
word.
One of the coaches, I guess.
But yeah.
One of the traders.
So, like I said, I don't always have time to make a video, so I give a warning on Twitter sometimes. And it was awesome how well that played out there. I called that short here, and we dropped right through my one box, right to my next one, absolutely perfectly. And basically held that until last Friday there.
I think Bitcoin's wanting to drop that. It's dropping now. I mean, it's a low time frame, but
yeah,
it just dropped to the 19,900.
Yeah.
So
You can see we are
Threatening.
consolidating right
Threatening.
underneath the short trend line there on the MDX3. I want to check the 5 minute. Let's just see. Let's jump right into a 5 minute
Jesus.
here. Yeah.
Now we're
Same
talking.
Yeah, well, let's get that blood pumping here.
I almost just got stopped out then. I almost got stopped out. How much did it miss me by?
Oh yeah,
$12.
Yeah, so the 5 minute also calling a short there, and yeah, looks like we're gonna start close. Well, we might start closing candles below this low here. In which case, if I was looking at a degenerate trade, then I'd be considering these kind of our current very short time resistance. If we kind of start getting back above those levels, I would consider the fact that we're gonna start getting a little bit more of a recovery. Just for the short term here. But yeah, so far it's looking like Bitcoin's not showing a whole lot of strength.
If you were doing your 5 minute scalps, imagine if, like, how do you get in and out of your trades? Because if I use market, it just takes all the profits.
How do I set my trades, or when do I
How
get
do,
into
how
them?
do you jump? How do you jump in and out of them on like Bybit? Because if I was to market in and market out on short term trades, it'd just eat my profits.
Yeah, it absolutely can. That's where playing breakout trades, especially on those shorter time frames, is a lot more dangerous, because half the breakout could come in the time it takes you to set your order. That's where I would more so. Let's just try and find a good example here.
Just a really quick one I would say on that, Sundance, is the ideal solution is limit in, limit out. But what I normally try and do is market in and then limit out. And then you save yourself that way.
Yeah, I always do a limit order. I never do market. I think the fees are actually higher when you do market, if I'm not mistaken. I could be wrong on that. I'm not exactly sure how all that works, but I'm pretty sure it eats your profits a little more when you use market. I try to use limit.
It also has a lot of slippage, right? Like you get like I don't know what price you get, but
There's
not
like
a good one.
spread in there.
Yeah. That's kind of one thing that's scary about setting those momentum breakout trades too, is I have had slippage where it's been like, oh nice, I just got in a really nice trade, and then I go look and I'm like, what the hell happened to all my profits? Why am I at a loss right now when I entered such a good position? So yeah, that's why those breakout trades are a little bit scary sometimes, but I like to see more so, let's say right now, for example, you know what? We crushed through these lows here, so we broke structure. Right now, let's say the price did end up getting back above here. This is just looking for an ideal setup in my mind. Let's just say I have this resistance box up here now. This is where I would love to see a rejection now. If we started trending back up towards this level, and then let's say we closed a couple of candles right along here, see a red candle close just below this box, I'm going to treat that like a little bit of a rejection, because this is our lower high, just since we did crush through these lows here with this little move here. This is our lower high, so until that's broken, then I would love to kind of short this area. And again, this is obviously just a 5 minute chart, so I'm not sure how much weight that carries. But that's just kind of how I look at the structure of things, is after we sweat these lows, the highs of this little range will now be our resistance that we have to deal with.
The short flag is going on and off in the 30-minute chart on Bitcoin.
30 minute?
Yeah, it's like going on and off.
That's just it. Yeah, you also want to wait until a candle closes. And unfortunately, sometimes you miss the move when that happens. That's just a part of trading as well. But yeah, that won't actually lock into place until this candle actually closes. So depending, let's just say this wicks right back up and closes up here somewhere, there's a very good chance that short signal would just disappear.
Yeah, makes sense.
I see a question here. How high do I go with leverage for my very short-term trades? That really depends how perfect of an entry I think I have. If I'm trading on, let's say, a 15-minute or a 5-minute chart, there's a good chance I'm using 20, 25 times leverage, and I'm not saying that's what everyone should do. Leverage is a very dangerous game. I want to make that very clear that it's not for everybody. I have a high risk tolerance, so I'm okay being at 20x, or let's say I'm adding to a position and I have a lot of wiggle room on my stop loss and I can update my stop loss to a better position or something like that. Then sometimes I'll ramp it right up to 50x or something like that. But it's good, especially if you're not sure what kind of leverage you should be using. I would not recommend using very high numbers. Really, anything over 5x is probably excessive, but it totally depends on your risk tolerance and your trade setups, because if you're able to have a very tight stop loss and a proper stop loss, not just one that you think is proper, if you can have a nice tight stop loss, then I don't mind using a little higher leverage. But yeah, let's say right now, just off this chart, I wanted to enter a short right here and my stop loss is going to be way up here. Obviously, I'm not going to want to be in a 50x trade, right? Because, I mean, that would be, well, yeah, it wouldn't be good. I'd be losing 60% or whatever that is. I mean, that's way too much of a loss, unless you're using a tiny amount of margin or whatever. But yeah, it really kind of depends where I can get into an entry, where I can get into a position. I usually don't trade with less than 10x leverage, but again, that's not for everybody. I'm not saying that's a good idea. That's just me personally, usually 10, 20, 25x, somewhere in there.
When you move your stop loss to entry, let's say you're winning a trade, when do you actually say, okay, I'm going to now
usually
set my stop loss at the entry? Or you're risking all your profit?
Yeah, usually I will update my stop loss as soon as I start taking profits. If I notice that I'm in a good bit of profits and I start questioning about updating my stop loss or not, usually if that question's even going through my head, it's a good, just a good indication that I should do it. Because you know what, you can always find another trade. Yes, it sucks if you miss out, you get stopped out too quick. But once I start taking profits on a trade, I don't really like to lose it after that.
Yeah.
That or if structure changes. Like I said, right now, the way this chart is sitting, I would consider this to be the swing high. So let's say we actually get candle bodies closing below this low here, then I'm going to consider this area to be our current local high. So I would update my stop loss to just being above this a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
But that's not for everyone. Again, that's just kind of what I do. And that wasn't a significant bump in stop loss, but depending how the structure kind of plays out, sometimes you can actually move your stop loss quite a bit using a method like that. Just really depends how the chart lays itself out, and unfortunately we can't control that. Oh, that wick is really coming right back up, just like we were just talking about here. Let's hop back over to the 5-minute. Oh yeah, look at that moonshot.
Yeah, don't. I got stopped out on my long. And look at
did
it,
you?
just shot up.
Oh,
yeah,
no.
I mean it's one that I took. It's a cheeky one.
You
I
must
took,
have been at
earlier on
about
today.
break even, because you had a decent long there this morning, I think.
Oh
right?
yeah, it was sorted. Yeah, no, I didn't like the look of it. I took 75% out of it and just left 25 in.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it was still a good one.
Yeah. So let's see, like this might be one of those scenarios in the next, let's say, 5-10 minutes where we start seeing candles just getting rejected along this box here. I would consider that there's a chance this little bit of 5-minute chart resistance is actually coming into play. But right now, already, I mean, just the indicator itself is already establishing a little bit of resistance here. Like this has flipped long, but that candle hasn't closed yet. And also there's just not a lot of other confluence on the indicators. On the 5-minute right now anyways, there's not a lot else showing to be going long. There's not a crazy bullish divergence. There's not, well, we might end up above this trend this trending line here right away. Just while I wait for some of these candles to close and that sort of thing, I just wanted to check out the S&P 500 as well. You can see that it has a fairly significant resistance line too. So, I mean, depending how we go into this week in the markets, the traditional markets, this will obviously affect Bitcoin because the markets are very correlated. But this is one of those situations as well where we do have those 3 very clean rejection points along this downward sloping resistance line. So I think if we were able to flip that into support, I think that the markets could end up being out of their little downtrend here. Obviously not little, it's quite a heinous downtrend, but I think that would be some early signs that the bulls are ready to really step back into the markets. It's nice to see that we did kind of get back above this little bit of resistance over here, and then we even did flip it into support before carrying on to that downward sloping trend line. So the technicals are being respected quite well there. I'm really hoping that we see the traditional markets start climbing and the DXY dropping. Speaking of that, I'll pull that up here. The DXY does have a bit of a double top going on right now. As well, the oscillator 5, you can see that it was claiming that we were quite overbought right as we're going into double top territory. So that could be a good sign for crypto. If the DXY, the US dollar here, gets rejected, it's still showing quite a bit of strength here, even though it's saying that it was overbought. It really never got much of a rejection, but it is struggling a bit. If this breaks out, I mean, well, that's not going to be good news for Bitcoin, most likely. Usually if the DXY is pumping, I'm sure we all know this by now, but if you don't, if the US dollar is pumping, generally crypto is doing pretty poorly. It does have this fairly strong upward support line too. It obviously had this little bearish fake out here, but we did just flip this resistance into support and it carried on higher, so it's not, unfortunately, not looking very weak. I would like to see the DXY looking a lot weaker right now, but if it was to drop, let's say we are getting rejected and we drop this upward sloping support line and flip it into resistance, that would be very good for the crypto markets in my opinion.
So when you're, I mean, obviously this is an indicator chat, but would you generally always wait for the indicator to give you a long call?
Would I always wait for it? No, I do my own trading. I do use this indicator a lot. I use the Algo 3 a lot more than the Oscillator 5, just me personally. I just like using the regular RSI a lot just because I've used it for so many years. It's just what I'm comfortable with. But I love this Algo 3 indicator. But again, it's one of those things like, let's say I have certain trend lines I'm watching and I see the indicator lining up properly in the way that I want, just giving me extra confluence, just a little more confidence. I've definitely taken trades I didn't plan to because of the indicator. I know I've shared them on Twitter before. I don't want to go back and find those. But there was one box I know I was watching, and some people in this chat were probably tagging along, just paying attention to that. But there was this one box that I played a support bounce off. I think it was 4 or 5 times the 1 week. And I said after the 3rd time I wasn't planning on playing it anymore, but the MDX Algo told me to long, and it reclaimed that same box, and you know what? Went long again, and sure as shit, it worked out good. So it's one of those things where it definitely can just give me an extra set of eyes. I feel like, you know, if I have important levels I'm watching and the indicator agrees with me, it's just great to have that little reassurance.
Yeah.
Guys, I'm gonna drop for tonight, so take care. It's 1:20 a.m. here, so
Thanks so much for tuning in. I enjoy doing these. It's fun. I feel like I don't have enough people to talk crypto with in my life, so it's good to have you guys tune in and bullshit a little bit. So, yeah, thanks for tuning in, and until next time.
Thanks a lot, guys.
Catch you later, Hernan. I put a chart in altcoins channel for you, mate.
Thanks, man. I'll check it out. Bye-bye.
Where am I here? Altcoins.
It's just one that I put in for Hernan.
AVAX, I got you.
About that one,
The AVAX one? Yeah.
Yeah, I just got the fibs and the volume profile in there for him.
I
Doesn't
gotcha.
actually look like the worst trade, to be fair. It looks alright.
Perfect. Oh yeah, look at that. Even on the 5-minute, we got that little long signal disappeared. We got rejected at that trending line of the Algo 3. So yeah, still looking like that downtrend might be continuing. Like I said, we did sweep these lows here. So yeah, this structure up here should be resistance, and this indicator just called it a little early. Obviously, anything can happen. This candle could absolutely fucking explode, but just what it's looking like so far. Just really micro-analyzing the 5-minute here. What else do I want to go over? This is something, I know I pointed it out on my last stream. I'll just point it out again because I don't know, I really like this chart that I made because a lot of people are well aware of the Wall Street cheat sheet. This is just kind of my own Bitcoin cheat sheet. This trend line goes all the way back to 2011. So although we haven't tested it a whole bunch or anything like that, it's obviously a very long time frame trend line. So the fact that we are starting to respect it again is nice to see. That's kind of one thing why I've been thinking that I've been quite vocal about thinking Bitcoin has actually bottomed on the macro scale. Not to say it's going to just blow up and go into a new bull market or anything like that, but just this is one of the main reasons why I think we have bottomed out. But yeah, this is just kind of what I've been looking at, guys, is every time we set a new bull market all-time high, we get a harsh pullback and we kind of create this bit of support, but it fails and we get our one final capitulation to the downside. And as soon as we kind of reclaim that box as support, that's when our bull market really takes off and goes parabolic. Then same thing here. I mean, you can see that we set our all-time high here. We set our very infamous descending triangle. I don't know how many of you guys were in the market for this. I was, because I bought in about right here. But yeah, same thing. We set our bull market all-time high, had our temporary support there. As soon as it broke, we got our one final capitulation to the downside. And that's kind of what we got right now, you guys. We set our all-time high. Yeah, we did technically go just above it there, but I'm going to consider this whole thing our all-time high up here. And we have this very significant level of support on the weekly chart here. And it dropped and we got our final capitulation to the downside. So far, that could obviously change. We could go much lower. This line could drop, my support box could drop, and we could absolutely dump. That's where we start looking, I'd say more realistically, looking towards those 16, 14, all the way down towards 10K price targets. I just don't know how likely it is. The one thing that I am missing is the fact that most of these bull markets do end up correcting about 85%, anywhere from 80 to 87% really. Here we got about 87. This bear market, we got about 85% correction. And this market cycle so far, we've only got about a 75% correction. That's kind of the one thing that's got me a little standoffish, why I think that we could actually dump further. Because if we get that 85%, the classic 85% pullback, that is dropping all the way down towards 10,000. Even though that's only another 10% drop on the grand scheme of things, from where we are right now, it's more like another 50% drop. So that's nothing to laugh at. That could absolutely be in the cards for Bitcoin. Obviously, it doesn't give a shit what we think, so it'll do what it does. There is other reasons why I think that we have bottomed. A big thing why I think that Bitcoin has bottomed is our weekly RSI. A lot of you may have seen this too, but anytime the weekly RSI kind of gets oversold, it marks the exact bottom. I've pointed this out with these dotted vertical lines here. Same thing with this market cycle here, right where we got into oversold territory on the weekly. That's right where this bear market bottomed. And where we got into oversold territory on our weekly chart just recently, that's right where we had our final capitulation, right back down to our previous all-time high, that resistance to support flip, along that 10-year trend line. Yeah, just a lot of things adding up there why I think that that could actually be a macro bottom. On top of that, Just going back to the whole Fibonacci level, this is going to look funny because this is my logarithmic chart. It's not a regular one. But if I go from our previous bear market bottom with our fib tool, let me try that again. From our bear market bottom to our bull market high, the bottom of my green support box here lines up almost perfectly with my 786 fib line. And for those of you who have been here since the beginning of this video, I mean, that's another fib line that I love. There's a reason why I have it colored a different color. And the fact that that's coming in right with all this other confluence, that's just another reason why I think it's very possible that the bottom is actually in. But I don't think that's really confirmed until we do reclaim this old support box, which we failed. I think as soon as Bitcoin does eventually reclaim this red and blue box here as support, I think things are going to get real juicy to the upside real quick in that situation. As soon as we reclaim this, I will be trying to spot buy everything that I possibly can. Let me know what you guys think. Do you think the macro bottom's in? Do you think we're going down towards 10K, 12K, 14K?
Yeah, just because of fear, though. Like, I'm sure there's always a reason why people are scared in the last bear markets, but I don't know.
Yeah, no, I totally get what you're saying. It will always feel different. It feels like, and I agree with you, you hear so much about inflation and so much about the recession. I know how MDX feels about that. But yeah, it's definitely, it feels like people are very scared, and I do see the situation where, let's say we do drop the support line. Like I said, it's 11 years long or whatever it is, and plus with this perfect resist support flip on a macro scale like that, if we lose that level, yeah, we could absolutely, the blood could be running. It could definitely be pouring to the downside pretty aggressively. In that case, I think stop losses would be triggered and people would be shitting their pants on the way down. But I don't think it would necessarily last very long. Chamber of X says he doesn't think the macro bottom is in. The macro environment is so much different than at any point in Bitcoin history. And I would agree, like it's definitely different. But like I said, and I mean, this also is one of the things, like I said earlier, I'm not a fundamental guy. I really don't follow too much other than the charts themselves. And I know there's times where I should definitely be following the news and should be following a little more closely. But just from a chart perspective, it helps me keep my emotions out of it, because if I start looking into how the world works, I understand that I don't understand exactly how everything works. That's one of the reasons why I was a little bit blindsided up here too, and I never took as much profits as I should have. Was just like, you know what, things felt different. It didn't feel like we'd already be done a bull market. You know, you hear of this institutional money in there that we're going to at least 100,000, and you hear 100 different reasons why that has to happen and how this time is different, and we're going into a super cycle, and then that all changes in the blink of an eye. And I think that's this would be kind of the same thing, the same situation, as it all feels very different until if all of a sudden we reclaim this and the market starts slowly regaining confidence, well, then all of a sudden it's going to be one of those things where, yeah, you know, it wasn't different again. And I'm not trying to shit on your theory. I totally see reason where you're coming from, because I think the economy is in a very scary place for a lot of people. One of the reasons why I don't think it will drop much further as well is I don't think we're lucky enough. A lot of people are looking at it the opposite, is like they're going to shit their pants if we drop that far. I don't think we're lucky enough to get those prices again, because what's the maximum pain that could happen in the market right now is, while everybody is having a hard time paying their bills because of inflation. I mean, you hear about the energy crisis going on in the UK. I think, Mike, you were talking about that a little bit.
Yeah, man.
Like, it's going to be hard for people to pay their bills, and what's the most painful thing in the world is if they had to sell all their crypto to afford their life, just their life in general, and then these big smart money deep pocket people come in and buy it while you can't. that would be the most painful thing to watch, and then watch the price absolutely explode into another bull market while everyone's sitting there twiddling their thumbs just wondering how the hell it happened, and well, if only we didn't have to sell it all to afford our life, right?
Or being halfway up the bull market and then going, oh shit, we're in a bull run and it's already at 50 grand.
Yeah. Well, and that being said, I think a lot of people are going to FOMO in at the wrong time, because as I said, I think when we reclaim this line or this box here, I think the market will be in a pretty good situation. But one thing I want to point out is, again, with the Fibonacci's, but running the opposite way. I know a lot of people are expecting resistance in this area, this whole like 30 or 28 to 30,000, 32,000 even. And yeah, I absolutely see the reason that this would be a massive level of resistance in the market, because that was very strong support for quite a while. But I don't think this is the level that's going to wreck a bunch of people. And I don't think we're going to get too harsh of a rejection there. Obviously, that can change very quickly. But I think what's going to happen is we're going to blow past that and create a lot of FOMO. But we're going to get rejected at some sort of a Fibonacci line, like the 618 or the 786 Fib levels. That's just kind of a feeling that I have. And again, that's getting close to that 50,000 US dollars. So it's obviously a little shy of that, and this is the logarithmic scale, and this is bit stamps, so yeah, the numbers might not line up or whatever. But somewhere around that $50,000, it's a nice round number, and it's around that 618 Fib level. Also lines up with some of the structure back here. I think if the price ended up blasting up to there, a lot of people would be FOMOing in, and we would see a harsh rejection right back down to this box. It's just a feeling I have right now. And actually, to show you what I mean, is it happened in the last bull market, or at the end of the last bear market. If we go pull a fib from our all-time high back here down to our bear market bottom, I mean, look where we started getting faked out. I remember this happening. I don't remember if there was anything in the news that caused this or anything, but I remember the day it happened. I remembered when I was at work and this all of a sudden got rejected, and a lot of people were wondering what the hell happened. Well, if you look at it, it is a perfect rejection from the 618 Fib level. And as soon as we kind of reclaim that, that's where we just went parabolic. So that's just something that I want to throw on your radar, because I think that if FOMO really kicks in, just be a little cautious around that level, because there's a lot of structure lining up there. And again, the 618 Fib is just an important level. I don't think that would send us to new lows or anything like that, but it's just a level where I think we're going to see some sort of a crazy pullback. But that's going to be a long time from now. That's not going to be this week or this month or anything like that. I'm sure that'll be months away at this point. Anyways, guys, yeah, does anyone else have any questions or anything? I just noticed the time. We've been going at this for about an hour and a half here. Holy hell. See our 5 minutes still facing that little bit of rejection there from the indicators. So I'm still happy with my short for now. I see someone's typing a message here, so we'll see if there's a question. Check out Sol. I can check out Sol for you. Yeah, let's do Bybit here. I haven't really been following along with Sol. It does look like it is at a temporary support level. Oh, I'm only on the hourly here. Let's hop over to the 4-hour chart. Oh yeah, that was a nasty sell-off there, hey?
Yeah, don't. That's my highest money-making altcoin, that is, Solana.
Your highest making money?
Yeah, that's the one I made the most on altcoins ever.
Oh, nice. For me, it was Crow. CRO.
I had three entries, 29, 32, and 44. I stuck it in all the way up to the top.
Here, let me just see here. What do we got going on for Sol? You know, we could have... a bit of a support zone in there that it's currently trading in. The one thing though is it does look fairly weak just because it did actually get some candle closes below this structure back here. So I would say really we have resistance up ahead. There's no doubt about that. There's quite a bit of resistance above it there. I would definitely want to see Sol reclaim this box up here, kind of getting back above this consolidation here. I would want to start treating that as support before giving it too much credit that it was going to start making a recovery. Yeah, let's just zoom in a little bit, why don't we? Get onto the 15-minute, clean this up a little bit. Get the indicator on. The indicator is saying short there as well. For, again, this is just the 15-minute, but it's definitely looking bearish to me right now. The indicator has lined up this potential support level at about $31.09. So that's coming into play very quickly here. But again, this is the 15-minute. Let's check the hourly. Yeah, that's definitely a level of interest, so it could technically still be finding support here. RSI has a bit of a bullish divergence as well. Not super clean though, not gonna lie, that's not super clean. If I do some sort of an upward, this is really rushing, this is micro analyzing this little pattern here. We do have this little upward sloping trend line. Even had a third touch point. The fact that we're closing below it right now, that doesn't look super bullish in my opinion. I see reason why it could drop this support yet. Hopefully that kind of gives you a bit of insight there. Anyways, like I said, I don't really follow Solana all that much, but yeah, it is at a support level right now. It is support until it's broken, but it's not looking super strong in my opinion. So if we drop $30.80, I think it could be a quick drop towards $28 all the way down to basically 25. Wouldn't really surprise me there. All right, guys. Well, I think an hour and a half, that's long enough for now, I suppose. Unless anyone has any other questions, I'm more than happy to stick around and talk more with you guys. That's not an issue. If you did appreciate this, please do me a favor, guys, and check out my StuTube Trading YouTube channel. Every subscriber, I notice every one of you. I'm a very small channel yet. I will comment on every comment you leave. I appreciate every comment you leave, every like you leave, every subscribe. I notice all that. Same with on Twitter. Like I said, I don't always have time to post videos, so sometimes I just lay out some analysis on Twitter. But yeah, try to do a few videos a week of my own analysis. These are shorter videos. Usually they're only 5 to 10 minutes long, something like that. Just a little bit of quick analysis, usually just on Bitcoin. So yeah, MDX gets it. Go and sub to Stu. I don't even know if you've subbed yet. Just kidding. All good.
Yeah, no, cheers for that, guys.
Long to short ratios. MDX ALGO. Once in a while I check out the short to long ratios here. This is also looking bearish in my opinion. I know I don't have as much experience checking this out as you, but definitely, just getting pop-ups here. Yeah, Binance is still looking a little bit too long for me to be comfortable. I think we need to see a little more shorts building up here. I think retail's getting a little too confident at these levels, and I think the floor is going to be yanked out from them fairly soon. We'll have to see what happens, but that's kind of what I'm seeing here.
Just for the benefit of the new guys as well, the long and short ratio on the actual portal itself just takes into consideration retail traders on Binance. So we're taking out all of the top trader information just to stop the skew, basically.
Yes.
I mean, the market makers can see what retail are up to, and it's obviously we want to see what retail's up to as well. So
yeah,
it takes all the buyers out.
Yeah, it gives you a little edge on the market at least. At least then it helps you, you know, if you feel like the market's going to dump because of this, then you can start eyeing up those potential short scenarios. Just any potential short setup you've been eyeing up. It just, another thing, just adding a little confluence to your strategy. Pete showing the boys the love. What time is it over there for you guys? Holy smokes, it must be late for you guys.
I'd guess it's
1:30 a.m. or something like that.
20 to midnight for me, and I think they're 2 hours ahead. So 20 to 1, 20 to 2 in the morning for them, I think.
Holy shit. Middle of the afternoon for me. I gotta go out for a smoke here in a little bit. All right. Well, I see MDX is typing something here. We'll give him a sec. Hacking out some late night work. If I'm understanding correctly, there might also be some updates coming to the indicators fairly soon. I think he's been hard at work with that.
Yeah, he posted earlier on. Next week, I think, got some nice, interesting stuff coming.
Perfect. That's what I like to hear. More colors? Just kidding. Right on. Well, looking forward to it.
Cheers, guys. Thank you very much. I'm going to head off.
Yeah, thank you so much for tuning in. It's been fun.
Cheers.
All right, everyone.
Thanks.
I think that wraps it up then. People are starting to leave. Sounds like no more questions. Hopefully I've wrapped everything up. Again, check out my channel if you haven't yet. Yeah, with that, I'll keep you posted when we're going to do the next one here. I'll hopefully do 1 or 2 of these live streams a week. Check in with you guys. Shoot the shit a little bit. Have some fun. Look at some charts. Like I said, I don't get enough crypto conversation in my life with my regular friends, so let's do it here.
Cool, dude. Cheers, buddy. I'll speak to you soon.
All right, everyone. Stay safe, my friends. Peace.
Catch you all later. Bye-bye.